Big thanks to Wout at Eidcel. He's a guy that runs a race shop out of Amsterdam. I met him on Drift Week. He gave me a stellar deal on this Wisefab stuff. Super easy to deal with, very painless transaction. I paid the man and it showed up maybe like 5 business days once the payment cleared and everything. So I also came back to some really cool surprises from my friends at ISR. I came back home and there was a box of spares. How's that? I told them that I probably gonna break a couple things, and I did twist a couple things during the trip. And they asked me for my address, got that all sorted out. I'm so fortunate to have them on board because these arms and everything on the car, but these suspension bits especially, what's on the car currently is already three rounds of competition old, 7 days of track driving through Drift Week, and then 2,300 miles of street use. You know, the coilovers are the same from Fortune Auto. Those went on the same time as the arms did, and I have like 0 complaints. You know, the car drives as good as it did the first time. It takes the hits. I don't have any damage transferred to the chassis of the car. The front coilovers didn't take any damage. The arms didn't disintegrate. You know, I was still able to drive and align them, and the joints are still tight. I mean, you know, for the price, can you really complain with that kind of stuff? I don't think so. And I'm super happy to have it. I had what I thought was a well-engineered kit. Ended up having too many teething problems because they're still relatively new to the market. They know every single detail about what's going on and what I had to deal with. They're just, you know, basically everything that I had from that company is coming off the car, and it's going to go off to somebody who can use it as a spares package, and I'm replacing it entirely with the new stuff. So we are at Function Motorsports. Kind of unassuming. It's this big commercial building in the middle of a swamp, basically. The road is actually named Pumpkin Swamp Road. So tell me a little bit about what you do here.
Hi, I'm Evan. This is a shop called Function Motorsports, of where Galen used to be also. I do mostly motorsport fabrication, some street car fabrication, but...
You've been doing a lot of Champ Car stuff, right?
Yeah, Lemons, Champ Cars. There's a couple drag cars in here right now, which is a little unusual. But yeah, that's basically it. Motorsports fabrication in various incarnations, you know?
And when he and I started this place however many eons ago...
6 or 7 years ago now.
Holy shit. It's been a while. This location is actually pretty cool because you're about 2 hours in any direction from the major tracks in the area.
It's like an hour and 55 minutes from every racetrack.
Seriously, like there's Lime Rock, Pocono, E-Town, NJMP is a little farther, but that's only 3 hours, so you can do that in a day, no problem. The Wisefab kit is really unique in that it has scaled paper templates that you cut out of the manual, and you lay them out over top of the subframe. I'm gonna cut along the marked lines, remove what we need to, and get this ready to get zipped up, I suppose. So let's get her done. I'm not gonna say it was difficult, but it's not necessarily easy either. You have to be pretty precise. I'm not that precise with an angle grinder, so I took my time. So you have to cut a pretty substantial portion out of the subframe. I mean, just basically the whole back half, and cutting the top and the bottom is the easy part. Obviously it's flat, you can get into stuff pretty quickly. But cutting into these layers for like the motor mount arm, definitely the most annoying bit of it, because you plunge here, get to the top section, and then you do in here, but you have all of this meat underneath, like this plane for the top of the subframe under the motor mount cradle. It's kind of hard to hit, and you need to have a lot of confidence with that plunge. You might gouge onto a portion of the subframe you weren't supposed to touch, so buzz through that second one a lot quicker. And everything that I hit that we won't be able to paint, we're going to hit with some weld-through primer to protect it all, including the back side of the rack relocation before Evan goes to zip it up. So how was that?
Between these bolts lining up with these nuts, and then the stuff on top here lining up with the pockets created by the motor mounts, once you have those things in place, you kind of can't go wrong. All of it fits very well. It was all prepped, you know, pretty well.
And something that you'll see too is when you're welding this together and you fully seam weld it, there's so much surface area.
Inside and outside. There's weld in there. You know, top and bottom.
Inside the pocket, yeah.
Yeah, so.
Well, when we were fitting the jig into or rather the subframe steering rack relocation into the subframe, there's no guesswork. Like if it doesn't fit, don't force it because it's not gonna fit properly unless you have the space you needed when you trim all the bits out. It was this side we were struggling to get to line up. And it says in the guide even like it might require extreme force if the subframe is, you know, in bad condition. Because it's a little concerning. You cut this subframe to ribbons and you're like...
You pull a good 40% out of the subframe to modify it.
Yeah.
But, I mean, obviously you're putting, you know, structure back in, but...
And I think for what it cost for, you know, the subframe relocation by itself, it's very fairly priced. Not simple. Somebody had to spend so much time to engineer this for it to work properly. Back in the day, if you had cut knuckles and you didn't have power steering, the over-centering of the tie rod or the rack would be so bad that you would get this kind of death bind because you would not be able to pull out of it. It would get there, it gets stuck, and then you crash and wreck the car. That's it. That's it. And yeah, they got rid of that by having this crazy rack relocation that's somehow FD legal. For this to be FD legal, you got to cut the joint right here for the weld-on nut. There. And it's literally held on by two little tabs.
That you can bend by hand.
It's asinine. I don't know why they just don't let you leave it like...
They consider that a reinforcement if you don't cut it like this, which is like...
Yeah, but if you fuck up the cut, guess what? You just unreinforce the subframe like...
Oh, like you cut all the way through? You have to be a real dingus to cut all the way through.
Yeah, I know, but it takes one slip of the grinder and that's it.
Yeah, that's true.
Dumb. That's the one thing that I think is dumb about it, not having to do with the kit, just the rules are stupid.
Yeah.
It'll be good. Can't wait to drive it.
Do the standard YouTube. That only took 10 minutes.
Yeah, right. That took like all night. Here it is, all buttoned up, painted, ready to go back on the car. I was gonna paint it this morning. I decided not to. We stayed here till, what was that, 12:30, 1 o'clock last night?
Something like that.
Just painted it then, so it would cure while I sleep. And I got some hardware that I need to make the sway bar tabs. Not sure how that's gonna pan out yet. I just reminded myself by saying that I have to finish prepping the base plates for that. So sway bar's in, or not in, but the sway bar is there. Subframe's in. Pretty easy to fit back up. Honestly, it's really not so bad. The arm fits right up. You know, everything was up in the jig. I had to repair one of the tension rod boxes on the other side, or the tension rod box on the other side. And we made this clever little bracket here. You can kind of see it now. Maybe you can't, I don't know. But we made that so the sway bar pickup is going to be removable. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep this sway bar or not. I didn't want to weld anything onto the arm itself. I see a lot of other guys, they have like a custom sway bar end where it kind of swoops up and over tight to the chassis of the car and their pickup is in a different spot. So this sway bar is from Bink Industries and I bought it when I was still using stock control arms and cut and shut knuckles. This actually lines up over the stock sway bar hole on the stock arm, and the Wisefab kit put a provision there for you to bolt through a sway bar end link if you were using a stock sway bar. So it lines up, it's a super high clearance. If it becomes an issue, I'll probably take it out, but for now I'm going to leave it for testing and see how we like it. I'm in a bit of a rush. I'm way behind on this project. You got to get this assembled and on the ground tonight. I need to get it on the scales and aligned tonight. It's already like 5 o'clock or so, and I'm running out of time. So we'll get it done. It's in there, but it's not perfect. This is what it is for the time being. I am not on the scales or the pads. Everything is a mess. We have the kit installed. Please excuse the mess. The install of this kicked my butt quite a bit. We're torqued up and ready to go. It's too late for me to load the car onto the trailer now. So in an effort to not piss off the neighbors, I am just gonna leave it be, but I'm gonna catch up on a bunch of other maintenance too. We have the car in the air over here at PF Performance. This is my friend Pat's shop, and this is an LS BRZ endurance car. They actually race, funny enough, race in that series. American Endurance, but this is my championship jacket. Anyway, I'll get into that story later. Now we're gonna go ahead and align the car, and I put a new wheel bearing in, and then the alignment was kind of all out of whack, and right now the wheelbase is tracking longer on that side, so I want to make that correction. I have to check my caster and a bunch of other stuff on this to make sure we're good before we go test tomorrow. ISR rear arm set that I have. This is one of the little things I want to highlight. We go and we mark all the sizes of the fasteners so that if somebody's helping out, or like if you're in a pinch, you can just grab the right size wrench. But this side is definitely something going on. We didn't get to film me doing the actual alignment on my car, so we are going to good there. So we're going to show you what our alignment rig looks like on Pat's practice car, and this is basically it. This is a really simple setup. Well, simple enough, I guess. Smart strings. We're using fishing lines, so you can't see the actual strings. And these pads level off with each other. They got adjustable feet. They thread up and down and in. And what Pat's checking for right now, or was just checking for, was the actual height. He was checking the height of the strings up and down so that they're centered in the wheel. And right now what he's looking at is the distance of the string in and out this way, because it's all adjustable. And you want to make the car centered in the square, basically. So we'll have to make some corrections and get it all right. But that's basically what our rig looks like here, and then we don't have them set up, but these are for the corner weight and corner balance of the car. You want to get the car square in the square, so it's, you know, even front and back. If you have it where it's messed up and it's like kind of crooked in here, it'll screw with your alignment real bad, and the car will be straight, but it'll drive like cockeyed like that. The first thing you should really mess with, and I know it's counterintuitive because you want to do your camber and then your toe, because camber affects toe. But if you have a fresh setup that you're working on for the first time, you gotta start with the front toe. Because what'll happen is, if you know you have straight and you have toe in, it'll alter the distance of the string to the center of the hub slightly. So like you might not be so perfect in the square. And this car's definitely got varied toe in from side to side. So we're gonna start with that and hope for the best. Hopefully these aren't too crunchy when you go to, you know what I mean?
WD-40 and heat.
All right, so we got our metric tapes.
Going the wrong way, I think, right now.
I'll tell you right now. Yep, you are going very much so the wrong way. We have a big correction to make just by the looks of it, so we'll be cranking on this for a little while, I think. So just because we had it set up, Pat wanted to weigh his E46. And you can see the leads, they go to each corner, they're all marked. This is the control box for it. What'd you get, Pat?
She's 2,900 pounds, which I'm surprised about.
So my S chassis was 2822 without me in it, roughly. Pretty light for an E46
I'm pretty
though.
surprised about the actual weight of the car, considering everything I was reading said they were like 32 to 3,600 pounds, depending on trim. And considering I only gutted the back half of the car, I don't know. I feel like it's light.
He also cheated, he took the AC compressor out.
Yeah. 8 pounds.
Hey buddy. Guys, this is Tim. We used to work together.
Clicking knobs.
Clicking knobs, just a guy doing stuff. So that jacket that I have, that American Endurance jacket, we actually all have one because we used to work at a shop where one of our cars that we worked on actually won the American Endurance Championship in 2019. And this is what Tim gets to work on a daily basis. This is a GT4 car, right?
Yeah.
So they're doing SRO with this car, which is like an IMSA offshoot. A carbon copy of that car, and then a little Cayman over there. This setup on this chassis, on this alignment pad, is much fancier than what I have, because this looks like they can actually just drive up onto it, and then they have, those stands have giant ball bearings in them, so that you can do all of your setup and stuff without the wheel in the way, so you can make your changes from the wheel well and watch everything move in real time instead of having to crawl under and around.
And we have lasers.
I know. So what are you doing with the lasers?
Chassis height.
Chassis height.
Yeah, it's right at the contact patch.
So this is way fancier than what we have. Ours is old school with like strings, and we need a lift and drive onto it. No lift needed. Because
Normally it has a bridge.
after being around this and working with it and doing it on my own stuff and customer cars, it's night and day. But anyway, I'm gonna get back to it and let these guys keep jamming. Yeah, the car's kicked my butt for the last 3 days over this Memorial Day weekend. Probably, if I had to average it, it's probably like 36 hours in the last 3 days, which is super gnarly. So excited to see what we do. I'm gonna be on scrub tires. That's what we picked up from Tim over at Random Vandals. Gave me a set of what are these, Bridgestone Potenzas actually. There's certainly a lot of stuff going on here today. That's Alex with his new Pro Spec car. The thing is super nice. There's Nate Chen over there. This BRZ GT86. There's Hop. There's a lot of people out here today. It looks like they're still drying the track off, so I didn't miss too much action. So I'm pretty stoked. We'll get the old girl off the trailer and see what the fuck happens. Car's